All right, guys, welcome to part two of this training session here. So on the first part, we covered how to add rows and or sections and pages. In this video, we're going to cover how to add images and some do's and don'ts with adding images. A lot of this is one of those things that if you get it right, your website will look incredible, and you can really, if you get some really good images, it can make your website over the top. Whereas if you don't use your images right, it can really ruin a quality website, with bad images. So, try to do not use blurry images whenever you take your before and after images. Use the raw files. Don't edit them. Don't put them through a collage editor, combining them together, because what that's going to do is it's going to ruin the quality. When you go to upload that and try to make it big, it's going to look blurry, and obviously, a blurry image does not look good. So, just a couple things to keep in mind there with your images. Now, images can be used in many different ways. So you can use them as the background image. So if I click over here, you can see here the row. If I change this, out, you know, you can change it, and you can change the background image of the row. So that's one really common way to use images. And now if we come down a little bit, you can see here there's another background image, this one being of the column. So generally, you've got rows, and then each row is divided up into columns. It could be anywhere between 1 to 4 columns. This one happens to be 2 columns. The white side, or the left side, is just white. The right side is, of course, an image. And you can change that as well. Now, after that, the next thing that we've got here, you can see on the screen here, is a gallery. So you can obviously add a gallery from the widget section, pull in a gallery. And I'll just show you an example in this gallery. The design, if you go to images, you can see how when you hover, it has that sort of blurred effect. You just select image hover blur, image hover color blue, and now you hover over it, kind of blends in with the rest of the site with that light blue color. Okay, and then if you want to change the images, you just come to content. You can readjust them. So if I want pressure washing over here, you see how it moves it over there. You can add images, you can take down images, and you can replace them. So it's pretty simple and intuitive. The next way that you've got here, these are actually just inner row backgrounds as well. So each of these images that you see is actually small inner rows. So this is a column divided into, there's 2 columns, and then this column has an inner row, and then each inner row has a column and then an inner row. So you've got your column or your row, column, another miniature row, and then miniature columns inside of that row. No, it sounds confusing, but when you start playing around with it, it starts to make sense, right? So each of these are they're not actually image elements, they're row backgrounds or column backgrounds, right? Or row backgrounds. See, so if I come in here and change the row, again, let's just pick a random image, right? And then it just throws it in there. Another image file, you've got the sliders. So sliders can be really useful. It's ideal if you can get them to line up as perfectly as possible. So you just upload the before image right here. You can replace it, edit it, scroll down a little bit, and you can also adjust the after image as well. Again, just by uploading it. And it's very simple and easy, right? Basically, no skill is involved to make these sliders here. Okay. Now let's cover one of the most basic web image elements, and that's just the image. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with images. Let's just grab a random one, throw it in here. All right. So right here, you see we've just got a stagnant kind of image. It just doesn't look, if it's on your site, it looks okay. I mean, it's not bad. But you can really make this image pop if you just do a couple tweaks to it. Just come into design. Generally, it's nice if you could throw, just a small border on it. I like to throw a shadow, maybe throw a hover effect. Then maybe round the corners by 1%. Right. And then now you can see here you've got a nice little, right? You hover over it, kind of got a little bit of a shadow to it, gives it some depth, right? So you can really make your website pop just by adding little effects to your images like that, right? Now, another really important image factor with your images is that they can really be a huge bonus or a huge boost to your SEO. And I'm going to cover SEO a little bit more in its own segment. I'm going to cover the SEO for pretty much the entire site, how to optimize it, as well as how to run reports on it and whatnot. But real quick, I'll come in here. You see the alt text. So you've got the alt text, the tulip, and the caption. This is a great opportunity, each of these sections, to describe what the contents of the image are. Say, keywords like house washing or whatever keyword you're trying to rank for with that image. Use those keywords here in the tulip, alt text, caption. Caption's optional because it will put words right here. but I still think it is useful if you choose to do so. A couple other cool things you can do with images. Now that you've seen that, these are a couple things you can do to really make your website stand out compared to other websites. The first one here I just want to show you is the image flip. So this is cool because you can come in here and let's replace this image. Let's throw in an image that we like. Come over to content, maybe make the text say pressure or fence cleaning service. And then you can sort of come down here. Let's see if we can adjust the font. All right, make the font sort of a wider color. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, center it. All right, and then go to the description, say pressure washing is fun. Right. Design. You could do sort of the same thing, with the back there. We'll make the back a little gradient here so it looks kind of cool. Right. So now, if a user is visiting your website, they see this cool image, they hover over it, right? They're checking it out, and it kind of has that cool little hover effect. So that's one cool thing you can do with images. Another cool thing you can do, I'll show you here, is the image follow effect. So this is actually another pretty cool thing. And these are just little things you can do to sort of make your website stand out. If customers looking at a handful of different websites, they see yours, they see a couple other sites, this is just a cool way to sort of, make your website stand out against some of those other sites out there. So with this one, let's throw a little border on it, maybe around the corners a little bit, maybe throw a shadow, just like we did with that other image. But now you see here, when you hover over it, let's preview it, it sort of has a cool little effect to it, right? So you're checking it out, and like you hover your mouse, and it kind of follows the mouse a little bit. So that's another pretty cool feature you can do. One thing to keep in mind, don't overdo those features. As cool as they are, if you overdo it on your site, it can really look tacky. So use it sparingly, use it intelligently, and if you use it here and there, then it'll really make your website pop as like an accent feature. So that's another thing you can do. Of course, I showed you the sliders already here. That's really the core things. You've got the background images for the rows, the columns, the galleries are a really common one. And then of course the actual image elements themselves. So that's pretty much the most of it, or covers most of it when it comes to images. Now, some things to keep in mind, when you're uploading your images, try to keep them follow the rule of thirds. In some cases, like if you're doing a row, like I'll just show you an example here. If you're editing a row like this, there's a lot going. Maybe there's a person in the background, or there's like the subject in the background. Ideally, you should have the image positioned, and you can adjust it a little bit to where whatever the subject is clear and open to see, and then you've got the text on the other side, so that you've got your subject of the image, and then you've got the text, rather than like having like a really busy image going on in the background. That can distract the user's attention, from what you want them to look at, which is the title and then the quote form. But yeah, that pretty much covers images for the most part. There's a lot of other cool things you can do with images as well. But as a beginner, that covers some of the most important things you'll use it for. So hopefully this video helps. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.